go jungle, and this didn't contribute very much.
Well, Saucin, though, we know is a player who's played a lot of Lulu. I mean, we know SBENU likes to play Juggermawk oppositions. They like to play with that Lulu in the mid lane and play around nuclear. So I can't say that Anarchy should have been too surprised that a very safe pick like Lulu would have come in last. All right, so how are we going to change things up this game?
So Anarchy on the blue side. Actually ban out the Hecarim themselves, despite being noted Hecarim players. The likes of Ixu played it last game. Maybe it's just one of those situations where they don't want to pass away the Hecarim in the first round of picks on the red side to SBENU. Probably going to see plenty of mid lane bans from SBENU just to keep focusing on Mickey.
I'm really surprised about the Zed ban here when SBENU's on red side. Odds are, I would say, that Anarchy is going to take Victor in the second round of the draft if they can get it, because that is a champion that is relatively safe to pick. And Saucin, he's the only real assassin he's shown a lot of talent on has been LeBlanc. And with the LeBlanc nerfs, I don't think you're quite as worried about that anymore.
Do you ban LeBlanc if you're SBENU? Because it's still... Look, it's definitely not as effective. There's less reliable also with just the width on the chain specifically being decreased, but it always has been a champion that was pretty safe to blind pick.
That's true. And Mickey has been there before. Ari also not necessarily the worst champion to blind pick. Does have a lot of safety.
Was banned last game, of course.
Yeah, was banned last game, but I don't think they're going to let the Rise through. Gragas banned, so will it be Alistair or the Rise here? First picked for Anarchy. Given the way that things have moved so far. Remember, SBENU really prioritizing that Sivir last game, so there's still the possibility that that could come through.
Opens up Alistair, but honestly, Snowflower, it's been the Thresh that's been a priority. And speaking of priorities, out of nowhere, Rek'Sai first picked by Anarchy.
You're going to give away Sivir Alistair here, though. That may be not a very good trade.
Maybe they're playing their own game, Monty. Maybe it's going to be the top lane Rek'Sai that, of course, Samsung Galaxy have been playing, but with so much up, it's a very strange insta-lock from Anarchy.
Yeah, especially we have Evelynn available, and you know Ketch plays jungle Echo, so he's probably not going to be too worried about having that Rek'Sai taken away.
I guess the only speculation is that he wants to push him away from the early pressure junglers. Gragas is taken away. Rek'Sai very favorable against Evelynn because, of course, has the Tremor Sense to spot her even without the direct vision. No rush to lock in a jungler. But Anarchy, they have the early power spike jungler. Again, we mentioned flexible top lane pick. Strange draft in terms of first pick from Anarchy, though.
I feel like the priority in both our drafts so far today has been pretty wacky. Of course, Corki Fizz locked in the first round of the red side by Anarchy in the last one. Not really picks that stand out as being particularly valuable. Songyun going to go for the Lucian in this game. Heavy engage. Looking like Anarchy's game this time, and of course that Lucian can bully out that Sivir early, so they may want to provide a lot of kill pressure, and then Annie goes through combined with the Rek'Sai, even the Alistair too. There's tons of kill pressure in that bottom side if they want to get it rolling.
When we did see when we last saw Songyun play this Lucian, it was another game where Ku Tigers really got on top of him. It was game 2 in that series. After it's really being bullied around on the Kalista, it was much the same story on Lucian, so we're interested to see where Anarchy do go with their support pick. Do they go for a roam-heavy champion like the likes of Alistair, Annie? Do they just go for the safe Thresh that, of course, is still available? Speaking of safety, Maokai, that pretty much confirms it's going to be jungle Rek'Sai first pick priority from Anarchy.
Very interesting. So going for the lane dominance right here with the Lucian, having some great synergy with the Rek'Sai and the Maokai. That's a lot of ganking pressure on whichever top laner they get. Very easy to chain that CC together. So SBENU has to pick a solo lane now alongside their jungler. What are they going to go with in the end? Evelynn, not that attractive of a prospect into Rek'Sai. Of course, you can see her with the Tremor Sense.
Very obvious Rumble pick as they have the Sivir, so they can't even have the speed to disengage off of the Equalizer. Looks like they might actually look for the Fizz. This has definitely been the laning matchup choice. With the Smite Summoner choice by Soul, you have to think top lane Fizz, so Cinderhulk Fizz, by far the most popular this season, is going to be locked in by SBENU.
And that is almost certainly a top lane pickup, but we'll see if Anarchy wants to mix it up. Victor would be very good here. You do have the peel for that. We haven't seen Snowflower play Bard yet, but that's another powerful tool if you want to go with a less mobile mid laner.
What a world it is where Alistair makes it to the 5th round of picks.
I don't understand the priority tonight, Papa Smithy. I really don't. But we could just go for the Mickey special, the Ahri, probably the only impressive Ahri player we've seen this season. Even Faker not looking too great on that champion.
Picked up an MVP on the Ahri in his last performance, had it banned away in game 1. Again, it's a safe blind pick. You can still split a lot of lanes. You have ranged wave clear. It's a very reliable pick. Snowflower hasn't found a lot of success on the Alistair, but just by virtue of it being available, and again, a very strong 2v2 lane with Lucian, it's locked in.
Well, there we go. So Ahri going to be the blind pick here. And, or perhaps not, depending on where that Fizz goes, but is likely just to go into that top lane.
Waiting to see where SBENU goes with their mid lane pick.
I mean, they need some sort of primary engage right now. They have nothing for primary engage at the moment.
They have the sweet insect kick.
Okay, reliable primary engage.
Fair enough.
That's what I qualify as primary engage, something that you can get off in most circumstances to make the team fight go your way. I mean, the Azir engage with the ultimate is a form of engage, but
it's right next to insect. There's a reason why Azir Sec is one of the pet names for those Azir initiation options. It's a decent lane against Ahri, not ideal because again it's assassin versus control mage matchup. Orianna's would be a similar kind of champion this particular comp, but again, not necessarily the most reliable ball carriers. Karma is the lock-in. Where is the Karma going is the question. Is it going
Karma's mid lane,
yeah, it's
for
going to
sure.
have to be Karma mid. Of course, it feels like a lot of the changes were about maybe moving some power away from Karma mid. Still going to be a lot of utility. Still going to be a super fast team comp between Nuclear and the On the Hunt, and of course, the Mantra E, but this is a surprising pick. Very strong laner, though.
So basically, what SBENU is doing is they are just rebuilding their composition from last game, except without the Lulu. This is the next best thing to Lulu in terms of getting team-wide speed down to make the picks and to pile on through that they had in the last game. So this is kind of a Band-Aid fix. I don't think it's as good as the Lulu, but we'll see how it works.
So, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think you're correct, Monte Cristo, of course. Very good wave clear, even at level 1 coming through from Karma. Strong laner, safe laner. I guess the big difference to me between Karma and Lulu is that Karma's damage, her only damaging spell, the Q, is blocked by tanks. It's blocked by the first target, so you don't have any real backline damage threats, and even the auto attacks aren't quite as formidable, so it doesn't really necessarily plug and play quite as well.
Right, and the difference is you have the team-wide speed up instead of just the Whimsy going through. You still have that really big shield. I mean, Karma's base shield is so big, but the team-wide speed up doubling up on that Karma and the Sivir. We're going to get into game 2, guys. Between Anarchy and SBENU, a very interesting mid lane Karma appearing. Let's see if it works.
There we go, Monte Cristo. Finally, the Anarchy fans in full voice, and their team desperately needs them. They're 1-0 down against SBENU.
Yeah, this is a situation that is rather unpleasant if you're Anarchy, considering that SBENU has yet to put a win on the board in a best-of-3, but they're 1 game away right now. You can see even after their win, the SBENU fans, or the SBENU players, just looking very focused, not a lot of smiles. They just want to close this one out and get that W on the board.
Super interesting item start by Soul. Doran Blade on the Fizz. Usually we see a far higher regen start. Maybe with the evolution of these jungle follows where you don't need to solo a camp, maybe just the extra damage to the camp will be enough to really get going as this top lane Fizz.
Well, let's keep some eyes here on how this is going to work. So looks like lane swap is going to be coming in from Anarchy. I'm pretty sure they don't want that lane swap, considering they picked the Lucian very intentionally into the Sivir. They may be trying to call, but they're not going to get what they want here.
I might actually disagree with you just because they're opting into a 2v1 onto a Fizz that really doesn't have any options farming under turret. Maokai, as we always say, has excellent range farming despite being a melee champion and good sustain. So they don't quite get the 2v2 lane. They isolate the mid. Maybe isolating the Karma versus Ahri might actually be a risk for them. But in terms of what they're holding down, and in this case it's the solo lane Fizz, I do like the lane swap.
Well, also, you know, SBENU is that newer team. Maybe they're not so comfortable in a lane swap situation. Snowflower is going in for a little bit of harassment right here, but it's just not going to be effective. Still pretty high HP from SBENU. Catch going to take some damage, but Snowflower taking quite a few hits right now.
Snowflower just trying to get aggro onto Catch, who just has to stay on the buff, couldn't peel away and try and kill Alistar, even though he was getting super low. Able to walk away, so they delayed the jungle follow regardless.
They did indeed, but Lyra already moving through. He's not going to face the same trouble with Ixu as Secret looks for some harassment. Just gets the ward down, though. And, yeah, that's the thing. This top lane Fizz is punishable due to low wave clear, even though they have wave clear in the form of Karma and Sivir. So we'll see if they want to go for that early on. They could also... The theory, too, is you can give that blue buff over to Maokai and have him be much more effective in a 1v2. They're not going to do that this game.
And low wave clear is generous when we're talking about top lane Fizz, because, of course, you can't max the Playful Trickster first. You're maxing the Sea Stone Trident, the W. It is very fiercely single target. It's like a lot of chip damage from a lane bully like Lucian. The last time I actually saw top lane Fizz is on the weekend. It was coming through from Flandre, and given some of his crazy item builds, maybe we shouldn't put too much faith in, but he actually went Magus with the Smite and went for an AP Fizz build, which, look, his AP
he did that
Echo
with
definitely
too.
didn't work out, but the Fizz at least has a little bit more promise when it comes to wave clear. With the Dawnblade start, still can't really see that from Sol.
No, highly problematic. Well, where is Sol going to go right now?
He chooses top.
He's got TP into the top side. Rek'Sai's there. If he walks into that wave, he could be in big trouble. And there we go. Hook lands onto Ixu in the bottom side. They get some damage, but not a whole lot else. Now they are going to see the Rek'Sai in top lane. Sol spotted him out when going to ward. And so the pings continue, but this Fizz has to be very careful. Did buy 2 wards, does get them in the river and in the tri-brush.
Was I mistaken, or did Fizz have blue buff? The only thing I can confirm is level 3, so it does have 2 different movement abilities to be able to get away from a gank. So it's quite slippery, even just at level 3. Might have even picked up the blue buff, but wasn't clear from a couple of moments ago.
Yeah, it was a very quick movement up there. I mean, Lee Sin doesn't have it looks like, so definitely could have been handed over. Lee Sin not going to make that much use of a blue buff early on.
It's a very high base cooldown on Playful Trickster. I believe it's at 15 seconds or more, so of course 10% will be relevant, but you don't really spam out your spells as Fizz until you get short enough cooldowns, and when you're not maxing Playful Trickster, that doesn't really come until level 12, level 13. So look, it's experience that's quite effective, and Lee Sin doesn't need it to complete his jungle, so still, probably not a bad passover by SBENU.
All right, well, Ixu's going to be a little bit behind in levels thanks to the 1v1 for the top laner in that side, and he's also having a bit of trouble in terms of his CSing. They're slowly catching up, but with the wave pushing back towards Sol, he will have a much safer time CSing under that turret to make a difference. Hook goes on to Ixu, lots of damage, but here comes Lyra. Actually, Secret bounced out, and Secret has nowhere to go. Aggressive at the wrong time, and that's why it's so risky to play aggressively when you don't know where the enemy jungler is. They had no wards to see that Lyra was incoming.
And Snowflower just able to punt him 650 units towards his oncoming jungler. Very smart move. Now Nuclear ends up getting denied. It's a very nice early game from Anarchy, and just smart moves from their jungler, in particular Lyra. He's the one we kind of have to single out. Almost a non-factor on jungle Fizz in game 1. Already getting a kill involvement in the first 5 minutes in game 2.
Well, we have to say that was very unusual for Lyra as a player, just because he has been a big factor for this team. In fact, you look at the 2 big stars of Anarchy, the biggest playmakers have been Mickey and Lyra, so to see him on that Fizz and not doing much at all for that last game was not really in his character.
Snowflower doing an excellent job of freezing this wave and not letting it hit turret. Of course, Nuclear has a lot of wave clear, so maybe only delaying the inevitable, but still smart use of the headbutt regardless. And Ixu gets there before it hits turret, so Nice little laning mechanics coming through. I guess one thing I'm interested in Monte Cristo, one thing I want to know the answer to is, where does the second max come through from Sassen? Because when we've seen Gorilla play this support Karma, Q max, you know, for lane control, I think, is always going to be a given. We've seen W max for the extra root duration come through. You mentioned the high base health on the shield, over 400, 430 or so if you max it second. I can still see arguments for W, but regardless, you're going to get a lot more experience on mid lane Karma than bot lane.
I think that E-Max is so valuable, though, because her mantra E is, I'm pretty sure, the biggest shield in the game at 400, what, 400 plus?
I think 430 was the number I just said. It's around there.
Yeah. We were looking that up last week, I know, and it is just an absolutely massive shield, and with some AP, it's going to be even bigger.
But you have to remember, you know, very quick access to a 3.25 second point and click hard CC in the route from the W has to be respected as well. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on where Sassen's going with the max. We remain to be convinced that Karma can be this solo lane threat, but given that it's purely utility, can it just be a backup Lulu?
This will be a very interesting backup Lulu, I have to say. No other team has tried to use the Karma as a backup Lulu, but SBENU found a way to effectively run the same comp again. And, you know, I have to respect the draft from SBENU here, just because they won with the comp the last time. They looked better on it than they have previously. They looked competent on it. And as a new team, it looks like they finally found something that may work for them. And the solution is, if the Lulu is bad, well, we could still run it with just a slightly different pick in the mid lane that accomplishes the same thing. So instead of focusing on trying to play multiple strategies, they're just trying to play the same strategies with as many different champions as they can.
And one of the things I asked you off air was, when it comes to this SBENU lineup, what's their real point of optimism? Because you never want a team that's just dead last, and you're like, okay, it's another 2-0, why are we even watching this game? Just the fact that you verbalize that point, Monty, let's think of a team that's right down the bottom with them and Samsung. We think of Samsung more optimistically. They've been definitely guilty of bringing out excellent strategies in game one, having a key champion banned, and then being like, I guess we just sort of run the same thing. In this case, SBENU has had the target champion banned, but actually innovated a backup strategy that fits the same role and doesn't just give them the remnants of the previous comp. It's actually a very smart, astute adjustment. So it's good to see that from SBENU. It's something more than some of their contemporaries can do. Soul's under a lot of risk, but Ari's already backed away, so probably not going to be too much in the end.
Okay, well, they're going to see this Rek'Sai up in the top side, and that's going to prompt the Dragon. I mean, this looks like very similar to last game where Lyra wanted to gank that top side and used it to give up a Dragon. He's just not going to get there in time, even with the Void Rush. Oh, he stole it! Songyun comes in with the culling and actually takes it off the reset. Mickey's there, dash into the back of the pit. Songyun not going to go down from the ignite. And now everyone piling into the pit. Soul's trying to get the damage down. Mickey continues to fire from the outside. They're focusing down. Songyun comes back for some more damage. Still 3 people in the pit. Mickey has to flash out, but he's going to get some return damage on that. Mickey, why would you stay?
Why would you stay is the question. Why wouldn't you finish the Dragon if you're SBENU? They tried not to look at the explosion as they backed away Monte Cristo. Fell down to 9 health, then re-leash. Didn't pick up the objective and lose the kill trade. So real head scratcher from SBENU. And Anarchy undeservedly pick up the advantage early in this game.
Wow. That culling from Songyun, though, for the steal was pretty hilarious.
The 20 damage a bullet culling.
Wow. Well.
So watch this replay. So they just walk away. Siva, even Catch loses interest. Thinks it's dead. It's not. And you're watching the culling. Smart move from out. It was honestly going to be Snowfire or Songyun. They're the only ones that had cooldowns for damage. And then obviously at this point, everyone's just all over because SBENU was already backing away in different directions. They pick up the first kill. And just a comedy of errors from SBENU. Yeah,
I mean, even from Anarchy right here, sure, they do a good job of cleaning up these kills. I especially like Songyun coming back in to get some damage down. But look how long they wait here. I mean, Nuclear's still full HP. You can't make this play. And you especially can't make this play right here, Mickey. You know, I love your confidence, but just get out. You already won.
And even if he had complete information and knew that that area wasn't warded, there's still always the risk that the skill shot hits from Lee Sin. It just wasn't a percentage play, and maybe we shouldn't be surprised. And in a battle of the bottom 4 teams, percentage plays have been pretty much abandoned.
Yeah, well, Anarchy, in spite of the errors, still comes out with the win in that team fight off of a very ridiculous Dragon Leash.
Everyone just decided to leave. Everyone had somewhere better to be. Sivir was like, I'm out of here. There's some creeps to go and clear. Oh, dear.
Lyra now going to take up a little bit of counter jungling.
And now there's going to be frustration on the side of SBENU. And what better play from Lyra on a strong skirmishing jungler? Just get in the enemy jungle, get in their face. They've got excellent ward coverage around this blue buff area, and realistically might be contesting the blue buff we expect to spawn in a few seconds.
Seems like it. Anarchy gave up a lot of blue buffs last game, and now trying to be better around that objective. You notice there's a big vision difference for Anarchy between this game and last game. Now they want to go for the dive. They do have the Alistar at level 6. There's the dive coming in. Pops the ult immediately. Mickey's there. This is where everyone dies on SBENU. Can they even get a kill in response? Songyun on the cleanup crew for a double.
And Snowflower excellently tanking out the turret. In fact, in general, the turret aggro juggling was wonderful from Anarchy. This is the Anarchy we expected to see in Game 1. It took us a very lame game from them in terms of just really rolling over and dying when it came to dragons, when it came to kills, but really getting it together in Game 2.
Well, this warding is so much more typical of what we've seen from Anarchy than what we saw in Game 1, where they were just very lazy about their vision control when they normally just populate the map with wards. I mean, we've seen them with 5 pinks on the map by 15 minutes before against top teams, and it's very uncharacteristic of them. So they seem to be pulling themselves up by their bootstraps now and starting to fix some of the errors they made in Game 1.
I can only speculate that in Game 1 they were so focused on those item times. We noticed Lichbane double Trinity Force at about 15 minutes. Maybe they were just so focusing on early damage, you know, saying, okay, can't afford the consumables this game, no green wards like they typically do, because this is a team who even before Sightstone, everyone's buying 2-3 wards, whereas the mid laner, the jungler, etc. They spent all that gold on damage, didn't really parlay that into an advantage, and then there was pink wards that were honestly sticking around Dragon for 20-30 minutes the previous game. This game, back to the earlier power specs, back to the likes of Maokai, who can just build the Catalyst and throw in wards whenever possible, and a much more typical game from Anarchy.
Yeah, they keep on pushing through there. They're trying to punish just by proxy farming right now, denying nuclear as much as they can, making that Avarice Blade look like a foolish investment. And they're getting their way. Secret and Nuclear have no way to make plays. Meanwhile, Catch is going to go to the opposite side of the map, but with the blue buff already taken away, I mean, this is Sasid gets a blue, but there's just much more advantage to the movement on the map that we've seen from Anarchy so far. Songyun just going to pop out and finish off this turret, looks like.
And this is definitely an early game where both the kills, the turrets, and even the Dragon, maybe crucially the Dragon, because honestly that was the big turning point of the game, is going for Anarchy. And it was the same story for SBENU last game, and roles reverse here.
Yep. And there we go. There's the 5 pink wards on the map at 15 minutes.
It's actually late by their standards. They're excellent at maintaining these smart timings. They just have so much safety around the map. Early power spike jungle in terms of the Lee Sin who's going the warrior enchant. There's just no lanes to gank because they just don't have pressure anywhere.
Yeah. Excellent setup on the Dragon right now. And look at this timing. So Songyun left the turret up and the wave pushed back after the proxy farming. And look at this. 15 seconds before Dragon, that's when the turret goes down. That's when they push the lane forward. And it's just a total blackout for SBENU around this Dragon. The pink wards have been set up so far in advance. You could argue that maybe this is overkill. 4 pink wards in the river. That's a very hefty investment in terms of team-wide gold.
Honestly, though, Monty, this is when you get scolded by your school teacher after game 1 that it's like, look, what were you doing? You know your strengths. You don't get anything done. And you just play as optimally around the vision game as possible because they completely let it go last game.
Yeah, I mean, you know you've got a lot of wards when even I'm questioning how many wards you have.
There can be no ambiguity for Anarchy when it comes to this second Dragon. Even Home Guards was picked up. Mickey was a bit cute with his back time. He only really got the recall through 8 seconds before the Dragon, but had the goal to fit in the Home Guards. So got the big shot, finished the Merlinomicon, so probably still worth it. SBENU's definitely not playing around this dragon, but Anarchy haven't started off despite having just picture-perfect warding.
Yep. Well, they're going to go for it right now. They get the waves in the place where they're going to be comfortable. Ixu has the teleport. He's got to be careful. Some shenanigans afoot up in the top side from SBENU because they're just so afraid of walking into the darkness in the river right now. And Ixu has his own little pink ward right there. And you know what? I don't know if they could see anybody when that dragon buff was taken. They may not actually have a very good timer on that.
That's unique, of course, with the change to dragon. It's almost always clear because someone's usually in a lane or in a ward. So that would be actually a unique interaction, and maybe that means the timer for the third dragon, the all-crucial third dragon, may be slightly astray for SBENU.
I'm not sure. I was looking at the top lane. I'm not sure if Mickey was actually back in mid by the time it died, but it would be a little bit close. You're obviously going to have some sort of vague idea, but it may not be precise. So, Songyun now walks into top. He's got that Infinity Edge already, and Sasin taking some damage. Snowflower there. Soul getting knocked around, skirmishing smite onto Songyun. Snowflower, the designated fish tanker, and there you go. Finisher from Lyra.
Had to use the flash. Also caught in the transition is Catch. Don't have quite enough damage to take him down, but Anarchy completely dictating the pace of game 2.
Well, Soul just can't do anything right now. He's got Cinderhulk into Trinity Force. Well, I hate to say it, that's not going to help you against Songyun's Infinity Edge.
So if a rabbit's foot is the lucky charm, what could the equivalent be for the Fizz Locker?
I don't know. Is this a joke? Is there a punchline coming off of Smithy?
Just asking a question for what's unlucky, Monte Cristo.
Okay.
Sivir Ultimate's pop. Snowfire's looking for an angle for the Pulverize. Doesn't quite get it. It's actually falling very low in an Ignite. Running on re-engaged by Soul. They really want to get this first kill on the backline onto Snowfire. He's actually going to survive. At least Lucian's completely locked away from his team, and no kills come through despite the commitment by SBENU.
Now SBENU, they wanted to go in right there. They tried to make something work. They know they're in a desperate situation, but even though they chunked out some of the members of Anarchy, there's just no follow-up in any reasonable regard. Look at the side wave control again. This is something that SBENU had issues with last game in spite of their win. They just can't get pressure on the map, and now they just have to break apart. Can't take the mid turret, can't take any outer turret, and that gives Anarchy a whole hell of a lot of time to clear out the jungle and recall.
It is unfortunately SBENU not being able to force anything out of Anarchy. Anarchy are dictating the pace, they're dictating the dragon control. It shouldn't have been this way, it should have been first dragon to SBENU, but even a mistake around that objective moved what would have been a very hollow early game victory in terms of the first dragon completely away, and now things are stacking up, and just like Anarchy, who were looking at an early third dragon, an early fourth dragon from SBENU last game, again, it's completely reversed this game.
Yeah, it is. Well, Anarchy moving in. They're going to try and see what they can do to catch, just getting a small amount of damage before the Karma Shield comes through.
Karma Shield's already very potent, but the damage is certainly not there from Nuclear, and that's going to be the big difference. Even if he lives slightly longer, he doesn't have the damage to back it up. And when you run these one-threat comps, you can argue that Soul might be a backup threat, but with Cinderhulk and Ashin not going to be in too much damage, you live and die based on the fact that Sivir can put out damage.
Yeah, and also, I mean, just the item disparity. 2 core items already done, 0 for SBENU so far. And a lot of that is that 50 CS difference from Songyun. Remember how much work he did zoning Sivir off the turret with the proxy farming in the bottom wave. And that's exactly the benefit that Anarchy's vision control had, because it made it so unsafe for Nuclear to even walk up to his tier 1 tower that he didn't really have a choice besides to lose a ton of CS straight into the bottom tower.
See, the Chum does hit into Karma, but very tanky with the shield. It's the same pressure, of course, that Snowfire himself felt against Tigers. The same sort of pressure that Gorilla was able to put down in the bottom lane with Prey. So reminiscent of that, Anarchy, they're looking for an initiation. Snowflower hasn't got flash available, but look at this poke damage from Songyun.
Yeah, that early Shiv, combined with the Infinity Edge, equaling some massive damage early in this game. And
21 minutes, no Infinity Edge from Sivir.
That is a dire situation. That Avarice Blade just hasn't been able to do a lot of work with the low amount of farm Sivir has gotten since picking up that item. So they're going to take the blue buff. They could transition immediately into the bottom side right now. They have the wave prepped. They're going to do eventually, as soon as Mickey makes his way over for the blue buff.
Picks up the blue. Dragon's a minute 20, but there's decent red ward coming through from SBENU. The pink wards have been slightly cleared out. Definitely not 5 on the map at the moment, but a couple in the inventories. Mickey's looking for a pick on to catch, but it won't come together.
Yeah, difficult to make that go through against the Lee Sin. Maybe blowing that Spirit Rush a little bit early, but he should have it up by the time the next dragon rolls around and any fight starts to appear. So Ixu is clearing out the top side, and they'll move on from there. So it's about time we see Anarchy back off, start to set up their wards again, get control of that dragon, and slowly ride this out with the large lead that they've accrued in the first 22 minutes of this game.
Really don't agree with Sol so far behind. Decent CS, but no real kill involvement, just struggling. Going for a Trinity Force build in a game like this where the team has so little pressure. It's not like Civ has been able to wave clear and draw pressure in other lanes. So going for the Cinderhawk Trinity Force build, it's going to be very long time into this game. And the burst damage, is that really going to be a big tool for them with the power spikes Anarchy have already hit?
Well, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You don't have damage if you don't have, because of Sivir's delay on our build.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if you have, pick coming in. Not sure about that. Mickey has the Spirit Rush already.
Ultimate popped as well. Sungyun's completely out of position. No defense for him whatsoever, so it's going to be an easy kill. They can choose who to give to, although Maokai's here. It's still 4v3. They're going to win the engage, though. Mickey picks up one, going to pick up another one, and Sungyun survives.
Wow, Sungyun right there. The fadeaway culling actually doing work. And what a good teleport from Ixu to get the necessary pressure. Mickey going to get hit by the fish. Mickey going to go down after his double. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to finish off the Fizz in the end. They may want to turn onto this dragon now, going for the tier 2. A little bit ambitious without any wave clear there.
But Sungyun survived despite what? On the hunt and the shield and the speed being put out from Karma. They got there so much faster, but they didn't have the damage to actually take him down. Rode him off too early. It's going to be the 3rd crucial dragon coming through from Anarchy. They don't walk away from it in that situation. Sol can't pick up the steal. Looks for a kill on the backside, but it's going to be difficult for the Fizz.
Wow, really don't know about that teleport from Sol. That was a big cooldown that they could have used in a more meaningful capacity. They didn't have the follow-up right there. Let's take a look at Sungyun right here, who definitely should not be there at the moment. He is going to flash out. There's the Sonic Wave hitting him. Eats a Boomerang Blade, and look at that, just barely surviving thanks to Ixu's prompt arrival with the TP.
Just a sliver of health, below 100 health, but that's all that matters. Seeing an engage, actually a turret dive coming through from Catch. He dies himself. We're going to see Maokai keep going. Mickey uses the charm, hits it onto Sasa. So much burst damage from Lucian. Kills pile up for Anarchy.
And right there, Secret goes down for the double. They could just plow through the mid lane. They can take the Baron right now. Choices abound for Anarchy.
I mean, look at the minion wave in top. I know we talk about minion waves a lot, but there's such a huge wave that needs to be dealt with that getting to this Baron is going to be difficult.
Yes, it is. Well, nice catch there in the mid, and Catch actually dove that and tried to insect Mickey, but Mickey just Spirit Rushed and got kicked the wrong direction. So was able just to Spirit Rush right back in and solidify that kill. So Catch very ambitious on the fact that he was going to catch out an in-second Ahri.
I mean, a couple of minutes before, we noticed Ahri trying to Spirit Rush over the wall to get a catch on Lee Sin. It feels like the mobility not being respected on either side. As with the Baron buff minions, it's still easy to do a lot of tower damage. Secret's probably gotten too cute, gets killed immediately, and there might be more for Anarchy.
Trying to disengage right now. Ixu gets his Twisted Advanced Spell Shield, and Sasa's still in the front line, though, and just gets wrecked by the Focus Fire. Catch a little bit of a combo onto him, takes a bit of damage, but maybe a little bit too forward by Snowflower right there. There just wasn't the damage to follow up on Catch, so the CC goes a little bit wasted and costs him his life.
Cost of the early game is a 10,000 gold lead for Anarchy. They're definitely playing the sort of League of Legends we expected for them in game 1 and certainly didn't get. They're able to go back with the Baron-empowered recalls. And Sungyun's definitely having the sort of item lead that Nuclear was able to put together in game 1. Now 3 items, including the Bloodthirster. So even being a 500 range AD carry, lots of relative safety in these fights.
Yeah, but they lost one of their Baron buffs right now. They haven't been able to put down a lot of pressure with that since they did get overextended a little bit into the turret radius. They're going to try and focus down the rest of these outers. Fortunately, again, the minion waves really moving in their favor. Soul is going to recall, looks like. Sauce in there to clear out the waves. They want to get the blue buff first. I mean, this is kind of just delaying their pressure.
Talked about the late power spike on the Infinity Edge at 21 minutes. Soul doesn't have Trinity Force, but he does have Mickey, an easy option to take out, but Mickey just skips past him and engages onto the back line. Sarsen's still alive. Mickey's taken so much damage. Hasn't died himself either. Surprisingly, no one's died. Secret's the first one to fall, and Mickey gets out.
Mickey gets out with the help of the shield from Alistair right there. Face of the mountain, doing some work to keep him alive. So, oh, catch.
Heal was used from Nuclear to keep him alive. This is a crazy game. Anarchy definitely not looking to delay and prop things. Actually takes a lot of auto attacks. Heal has to be used as well. Soul looks to re-engage. So many low health bars, but the fight's not over.
What a sloppy siege from Anarchy right here. I mean, dashing in on Lucian into Nuclear's face when, I know you've got more items, buddy, but you're still at 50% HP. You can't be too confident. And so this Baron really just not being utilized effectively by Anarchy. They've gotten a couple towers, but they probably should have broken the base by now.
Finally see that it was the shield max second from Karma. Catch has caught himself, but is there enough damage from early? It looks like the answer is no. Gonna see Catch get in and get cute, but able to tunnel away, and Lyra will survive.
Baron buff still gonna be up here, or not anymore, just fell off looks like. So here we go. Back up the mid lane. Now they don't have those Baroned up minions to do work. Songyun has opted to get a Bloodthirster to help out with the poke, and the fact that there's really no tankiness on SBENU, so why get a Last Whisper this early? Finally, they break the base.
Maokai on the minimap actually threw a sapling to stop at the last second Nuclear's recall. Of course, he's the only real wave clear next to Karma who's been caught every time he's tried to walk up to a wave. So it's very important they start the recall. They finally break the base. Definitely more of the siege, but SBENU are always looking for an angle to initiate despite being 13,000 gold behind.
They don't. Oh, wow. Actually just catching out. Catching Sasin immediately with a combo. Double kill for Songyun. And they're just going to keep moving through this base. Finally look like they'll be able to get an inhibitor after Mickey split pushed a wave right up to that top lane inhib.
And Mickey's Ahri reputation is only enhanced by a game like this. We've seen Sarsen caught out multiple times with the charm. Once again, another solo kill onto a turret to open up the objective. This will be the third inhibitor turret that Anarchy will be able to take down. And almost mathematical, they'll win from here.
Yeah, moving forward. Songyun again with the aggressive initiation. He's going to dodge the fish, though, with the help of that QSS. Soul dives to the back line. He goes down. And that's going to be probably the close to the end of this game. Anarchy may decide to back off, but they're gonna go for the gamble.
They're gonna go for the finish. This is the Anarchy we know and love. They keep going, but they get the pick onto Secret with another charm coming through from Mickey. It's gonna be at least one Nexus turret coming down, and in a 5v3 scenario, this should be the game.
Pushing forward, getting that last Nexus turret. Now they're gonna focus on the Nexus itself. They take out Snowflower, but there's just not enough. Can they pad their stats in the meantime? Catch once to get a hit onto Anarchy. He's not going to quite make it into the back line. A double kill for Sivir. But Ixu and Songyun have enough damage to take out the Nexus, and that'll even us up 1-1 this afternoon.
Anarchy squares the ledger with a win in Game 2. SBENU in Game 1 almost got split pushed by the Hecarim in Game 2. Anarchy, they could have sieged, but they just thought they'd just try out 3 or 4 dives. A couple of them didn't come off. Finally, the last one did. They were 10,000 gold ahead, so they were with enough of an advantage to try out something cute. But definitely bottom of the table action on display here, Monte Cristo.
No doubt. Bloody game. Not with the best strategy, but in the end, this time Anarchy, in spite of that ridiculous dragon fight early on, they got the first dragon this time. They didn't fall behind in objectives like they did last time, and they were able to get the wards down necessary to close.
And I think it's another game that reminds us why we do see Ahri bans come in against